Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline studio. I'm Sybil Muschik, behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. Now we're looking at some of our marbled papers that we did not too long ago on black paper. And some normal kind of patterning. I'm not sure we're going to be using that. And then we started into some flower things with a lot of silver, just so the page would show up on the black paper. It's not too bad. The glitter of the bronze really helped, or copper. Here's more silver. And it was surprising how much showed up of the marbling on the black paper. So we're working with some muted grade colors. And just to show you that not all grade colors need to be, sort of dull. They can also be very vibrant. Now here's a good example. So here the silver showed up really well, and the copper, and the colors are very vibrant, even though they're muted. So here's a couple of photographs of my dahlias. And going with a black theme. And I have, these ones are really, really tall. So I don't do a lot of stuff with flowers, but sometimes, you just think of it as a challenge and start working with it. Of course, they're, as usual, are not going to be terribly realistic. Now, I did some on the computer. I didn't really push the color very much on the computer, as you can see. I've just cut out some of the imagery, made this one smaller. Some of the centers. This one's kind of funky, and that we'll be working mostly with this one. And we're going to be doing some collage work. Here it is in gray tones. And still spectacular. So, working today with our 9x12 gel plate. It's on a bit of a grid, that sort of helps. And we're just going to start with doing our background. Now, of course, the leaves as a transfer will be, very realistic. However, that pushes it in another direction when you use a totally different color. So we're going to start with silver. We won't bother with any other color, just the silver for this. Spraying it out. Make it reasonably thick if you're following along and working with me, which would be ideal. Spraying off here. And then placing. Now, placing is, working with composition. So try not to put, the points right at the corners. I mean, there are no real rules for composition, but some things just look better than others. And then just place it around. It's often said, don't put things right in the middle. Again, art doesn't lend itself well to really hard and fast rules. It's not like mathematics. there are things you can do. Now we're just going to put some tissue paper over this and collect all the paint we don't need. So have a look. Rub around the leaves. You can feel it with your fingers. Make sure all that lovely texture gets put down so you capture that. And not much haloing around any of your leaves. Haloing is just sort of stuff that's beyond the leaf patterns. Dahlias have quite nice leaves and quite a lot of texture and a little bit on the, just to show you, they're a little bit on the rough side. When I feel it's a lot like leather, they're quite thick and very distinctive. You can tell a dahlia leaf very easily with that tri arrangement. Now just take your time with this so that you get a good image, and rub in all the negative spaces so that you don't get much of the color aside from the leaves. Let's have a look here. It's not bad. There'll be some silver. Oh, a little bit of haloing here. This is why this is wet strength tissue paper. It stands up pretty well. And you can use this paper, you know, for collage, and even though it, you know, you might have got some paint on it. There's nice thing about gel plate printing is seldom do we waste any of the papers. All has secondary uses. The leaves are stuck down so I can be quite good with them. So you get that out of the way and then you just lift it up. And you get a lovely silver impression of the leaves. Now this is background, so you don't really need, you know, a really stark color or lots of contrast here. Now we're going to go to an interlude so that this can dry, and then we'll put the release coat on. So we've let the silver dry for a few minutes, and that was the Amsterdam silver, and this is Liquitex black. This is a nice black. It's just a Mars black. Okay. Always makes funny noises. All right, just get that on there. Now this black will show up behind the silver when you print it. It's one of the nice things about gel plate printing. You can do a fair amount of layers. And the last thing you put on will be the one behind. Okay, spray everything off so we don't have too much of a mess to clean up. And I'm using some drawing paper, and it's quite heavy. And using our Baron. Now you could do this directly onto, board or canvas. Yep. Wow, isn't that spectacular? It's a shame to cover most of it up. All right, so set that aside to let dry a bit. And then we're going to have a look and see some of these pieces. And we'll just sort of arrange them on here just to see what it's going to look like. And then by that time, that'll be dry enough to work with. Maybe put this in the back. This is just for placement. Maybe something like that. Kind of fun to have these two dangly things here. We have a small one. Maybe this one on the other side. That could be quite interesting. Okay, so take it all off and try something totally different. See what you like. So, play with this. Is that sort of like a shadow? Think about maybe have this at the bottom, maybe coming off. And our little tails here going that way. That could be quite a nice arrangement. Now if this were live, you could give me some advice as to what works best. Kind of like that. Maybe switch this over. Now that's kind of interesting. One more? Just play. Okay, try it down here. Making the interesting parts stick up. Okay. Maybe this one. I kind of like that there. That's a repeat thing. And then let's have little feelers go up. And then this one is hiding in the background. Well, that might be the most successful so far. Kind of like it. Just move this over a tiny bit. And then that can go right off into the white areas of the print. Okay. I can take the gel plate away. Okay, here we go. This one was here. This one was here. That in the center. And the two little things are going off this way. You know, you would think it would go off that way, but let's be contrary. Maybe do it this way. Kind of liking that, and then maybe we don't need this one. Okay, and I like it there. There you go. I think that works. Okay, we'll take a little break and I'll glue this down. Okay, this is Liquitex Matte Medium. Family bought me some from Opus. I'm so lucky. Nice big bottle, just what I like. So probably I'm going to shove this under just a bit more. Okay, let's remember where that went. So we'll roar through this because, you know, gluing things is just not too artistic. It's just downright sticky. Matte medium is lovely for sticking things to things. I do both. I coat the back. If it starts to buckle on you, get some of these air pockets out. The best thing is a bone folder. And it gets it nice and flat. A little bit of a pocket there. This is matte medium, so even if you cover it with matte medium, it will still be matte and it will be permanent. And of course we're sticking things on there, so and our little antenna. Now this is a very fanciful dahlia, but you get the idea. If you're doing a realistic dahlia, of course you would start with the drawing, paying attention to some of the characteristics of dahlias. But today we're just playing and having fun. And it's a good way to use up your marbling papers. And it might even get you interested in marbling. You don't have to do great, huge projects. Just use a little container. Okay, we were gonna take this off the edge, overlap this a little bit, right? And to leave those silver leaves in the background shining. Okay. drying. It will dry overnight, nice and flat. Might have a few little waves in it, but not too bad. Again, the bone folder will help smooth it out. Okay, we're going to let this dry for a little bit, and then we're just going to enhance it, maybe with some Posca pen or some, we'll see what we can use. We'll let the glue set up. Okay, we'll be right back. So we're just cutting the Bristol board away from our collage. It's a bit tougher to cut than just regular copy paper, but not bad. Okay. I'm just using my handy X-Acto knife. I find it, I have quite a sharp point on it, as you can see. I guess some people use scissors, but I find this is much better cut. And some of you have crickets, although I don't know if it would take something this large. And of course, you know, if you're into handmade paper, just pulp this. You don't have to waste anything. You have a good strong paper then as well. So this is how it's going to look here. And then we're going to print just like this part all around here as a border. I think that will be quite spectacular. You could use, of course, a smaller piece and cut this down, and I might do that later, but for now, so we're just going to repeat what we did at the start and put it on there. So we'll show you a little bit of that process. We're just going to close it off for now, and we'll show everything at the end. And I guess maybe as a postscript we'll show a little bit of just printing it on here. But anyway, fun project. A nice way. I'm not going to, it needs to dry for a day or so before you put some, you know, Posca or something else on it, because it's still a little on the tacky side, and that's going to take time. And I'm not going to do much. The whole point was to keep the colors muted and maybe enhance some of the edges a little bit, but that's about all it's going to do. We'll show the final result eventually. So thanks so much for watching, and we see you again in a future video, which is coming up bi-monthly. And be sure to like and subscribe so we can keep going and making lots more good content. And have fun with this. And you know, it's summertime. You need maybe lighter artistic projects, but you know, sometimes you just want to get back in your studio and muck around a little bit and enjoy your process. And that's what we were doing here today. So take care of yourselves and your families, and be kind to one another. Bye for now.